The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Did you know that in every interaction, every day, a silent war is waged? It is the unseen struggle of manipulation against authenticity, a battlefield where our own minds and hearts are the prize. This isn't the stuff of screenplays or dramatic novels. It unfolds in our offices, our homes, and in the very palm of our hands, through the devices that connect us. Now, imagine navigating this terrain armed with the wisdom of the ancient Stoics, sages who understood the sanctity of the mind and the art of its protection. They taught us not merely to survive life's chaos, but to thrive within it, by holding fast to our inner citadel, our core of reason and virtue. In a world where manipulation wears 1,000 masks, how do we apply this ancient wisdom to shield ourselves today? Stay with me, and let us explore this together. We will uncover the modern guises of manipulation that test our resolve and learn to wield ancient philosophy as a guard for our minds, allowing us to live with unwavering purpose. This is more than avoiding pitfalls. It is about forging a life of authenticity, resilience, and true freedom. So, if you have ever felt played, pressured, or simply perplexed by the actions of others, you have found the right place. Let us begin this journey of empowerment, guided by the timeless light of the Stoics, and transform how we engage with the world. And before we set out, I have a small favor to ask. A simple click on the subscribe button is a profound gesture of support for our shared exploration. I also urge you to embrace this journey in its entirety. You are here because you are not like the rest. You are an exception, one who seeks not just to navigate the currents of human interaction, but to understand and master them. Stay with me, and let us unlock these insights together. Number 1. Triangulation. Imagine a close friendship, a bond of trust. Now, introduce a third person. Suddenly, your friend begins sharing words you spoke in confidence, perhaps twisting them into a new narrative that pits you against one another. It feels like a return to the dramas of the schoolyard, yet the stakes are higher now, the emotional fallout far more severe. You begin to question your judgment, your friendships, your very sense of reality. You are caught in a game where the rules are in constant flux, and you are always one step behind. The cruelest part? Often, the manipulation goes unnoticed until you are already adrift in a sea of doubt, feeling utterly alone. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, taught the value of inner tranquility and the profound importance of mastering our reactions to external events. When faced with triangulation, the Stoic path is one of detached observation. It is to recognize the tactic for what it is, a storm on the outside, and refuse to let it disturb the calm within. You realize that while you cannot control the actions of others, you have absolute authority over your own response. Stoic wisdom also champions direct communication. If you suspect you are being triangulated, approach those involved with honesty. Bringing what is hidden into the light has a powerful way of dissolving the shadows of manipulation. In the face of this tactic, your greatest allies are your own integrity and your commitment to transparent relationships. It's not about avoiding a leak in your boat, but about knowing how to patch it swiftly and continue sailing, guided by the stars of wisdom and truth. Number 2, the double bind. This is the art of trapping someone in a no-win situation, where you are damned if you do, and damned if you don't. Every option presented leads to criticism or disappointment, locking you in a cycle of perpetual failure. Consider this classic scenario. You are encouraged to share your thoughts openly, to be authentic. You summon the courage, you speak your mind, and you are promptly criticized for doing so. It is bewildering. It's like being told to jump into a pool only to be scolded for getting wet. This tactic is a manipulator's favorite because it keeps you perpetually off balance, second-guessing your own perceptions and decisions. The ground beneath you feels unstable because the rules shift according to another's whim. Here, Stoicism offers the liberating concept of the dichotomy of control. It teaches us to distinguish between what is within our power and what is not. Your actions, your responses, your integrity, these are yours to command. The attempts of others to trap you in a double bind are not. So when you are invited to speak, only to be punished for it, remember this: your worth is not determined by their reaction. It is determined by your own commitment to act with integrity. The Stoic approach is to see the double bind for what it is, an external challenge, not a reflection of your value. It encourages us to respond not with frustration, but with calm assessment. And if the situation remains impossible, the wisest path may be to turn inward, focusing only on maintaining your own unassailable ethical standards. Number 3. Projection. This tactic is particularly insidious, for it not only confuses you, but can make you doubt your own character. A person feeling guilty about their own dishonesty might accuse you of being the liar. Someone wrestling with jealousy might insist that you are the one who cannot be trusted. It is a defense mechanism, a way for them to avoid the discomfort of their own shortcomings by casting them onto someone else, namely, you. Stoicism urges us to calmly question the validity of such accusations. Are they a true reflection of our actions, or are they a mirror reflecting another's inner turmoil? By maintaining a clear sense of self, grounded in our own truth, we can deflect these projections without allowing them to disturb our peace of mind. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to meet the faults of others with understanding. Recognizing projection as a sign of someone's internal struggle allows us to respond not with anger, but with empathy. This does not mean we accept the accusation. Instead, we can gently but firmly refute the falsehood. The Stoic path also involves recognizing the limits of our responsibility. We are responsible for our own integrity. We are not responsible for carrying the emotional baggage others try to unload onto us. This distinction is crucial. When someone projects their faults onto you, it is a clear signal to reinforce your own boundaries, to protect your own garden, so to speak, from having someone else's trash thrown over the fence. Number 4. Time pressure. This tactic appears everywhere. In sales, it's the limited time offer that demands an instant decision. In relationships, it's the push for a commitment you're not ready for. At work, it's the unreasonable deadline that forces a choice without proper thought. The core Stoic principle of the dichotomy of control is our shield here. While we may not control the external demand for speed, we absolutely control our reaction to it. We can choose to take a breath, step back, and assess the situation with the clarity that Stoicism champions. Seneca spoke of time as our most precious resource. Yet Stoicism also teaches that the quality of our decisions is far more important than their speed. When someone tries to rush you, remember that urgency is often artificial. A genuine opportunity, a true friendship, a sound deal, these will grant you the space to make a decision that aligns with your values. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to focus on the present moment and to act with purpose. By staying present, rather than being swept up in the frenzy of a ticking clock, we maintain our composure. The Stoic response to time pressure is an act of courage. The courage to say no, the courage to ask for more time, and the courage to stand by a decision made with reason, not panic. Number 5. Inconsistency. This tactic is jarring because it preys on our fundamental human need for stability. When someone's behavior shifts from warm to cold, from praise to criticism, it triggers a deep unease. We are wired to seek connection, So when it is given and then abruptly withdrawn, we are left trying to solve a puzzle, walking on eggshells to win back the approval we once had. The Stoics teach that our peace of mind should never depend on such external factors. Seneca advises us to anchor our happiness in our own virtue and reason, not in the shifting sands of another's approval. Epictetus reminds us that we have the power to choose our response. When faced with inconsistency, we can choose to remain centered, knowing that the only thing we truly control is our own internal state. This doesn't mean we become indifferent. It means our emotional well-being is not held captive by someone else's fluctuating moods. Practicing Stoicism here means cultivating a self-worth that is independent of external validation. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to find tranquility within ourselves, a calm center that can serve as a compass through the fog of another's inconsistency. This inner strength also gives us the courage to set boundaries and communicate our needs clearly, addressing the issue with both justice and respect, for ourselves and for the other person. Number 6. Emotional blackmail. Imagine your deepest feelings, the raw, real emotions that define you, have been taken hostage. To feel whole again, you are told you must pay a ransom. The price is your compliance, your agreement to sacrifice your own needs or values. Your very capacity to feel is being used as a weapon against you. This is emotional blackmail. It appears as guilt trips, fear-mongering, or shaming, all playing on our desire to be seen as good and caring. But genuine love and respect do not come with conditions. They do not demand that you betray yourself for another's desires. Stoicism reminds us that while we cannot control the demands of others, we have absolute control over our response. We can choose not to play their game. Marcus Aurelius teaches the importance of living in accordance with our own nature. Emotional blackmail asks us to act against our nature, to abandon our integrity. The Stoic response is to hold firm to our principles, maintaining our inner dignity regardless of the pressure. It also calls for compassion. First, for ourselves, recognizing that it is okay to feel conflicted, but that we do not have to surrender our autonomy. And second, for the other person, whose actions are likely driven by their own pain. But understanding does not mean surrendering. We can offer empathy without sacrificing our freedom. Number 7. Gaslighting. This is not a simple disagreement. It is a deliberate attempt to make you question your perception of reality itself. Gaslighting is a form of manipulation so subtle it can shatter the very foundations of your confidence, making you doubt your memory, your sanity, your own truth. It takes many forms: denying something you know happened, contradicting your feelings, or dismissing your concerns as irrational. The goal is always the same: to undermine your trust in yourself, making you dependent on the manipulator's version of reality. Marcus Aurelius advises us to be steadfast in the face of external turmoil. He teaches us to trust our own perceptions and to retreat to our internal citadel, that place of reason and peace where another's words cannot breach the walls. Stoicism also encourages constant self-reflection, not with doubt, but with clarity and honesty. This practice is incredibly empowering against gaslighting. By knowing our own minds, we can recognize when our reality is being unfairly challenged. The Stoic approach is not about becoming immune to manipulation, but about recognizing it for what it is: an external attempt to destabilize, and responding with the strength of our own trusted perception. It is about maintaining our equilibrium, even when someone is trying to convince us the sky isn't blue. Number 8. False social approval. This tactic leverages our deep-seated need to belong. It whispers that, to fit in, we must follow the crowd, even when our own conscience objects. But here is the deception. Just because someone claims everyone is doing it, does not make it so. This is false social approval, a technique designed to sway us by exploiting our desire for conformity. Marcus Aurelius taught us to act in accordance with our own nature, to be true to ourselves. Faced with this pressure, his wisdom prompts us to ask, is this action virtuous? Is it in harmony with my true self? Stoicism also introduces the ideal of ataraxia, a peace of mind achieved by living in accordance with reason. This becomes our refuge. By staying true to our reasoned judgments, we preserve our inner peace. This doesn't mean we reject society. It means we critically assess its norms and make conscious choices about which to follow. Furthermore, the Stoic practice of premeditation can be invaluable. By anticipating situations where this pressure might arise, we can fortify our minds, rehearsing our commitment to act with integrity, regardless of what the supposed crowd is doing. Number 9. Concealment of information. Imagine sitting down to a puzzle only to realize that half the pieces are missing. No matter how you try, you cannot see the whole picture. This frustration is precisely what it feels like when crucial information is concealed from you. It is a deliberate act to skew your perception, forcing you to make decisions based on an incomplete map. This can happen in a relationship where intentions are hidden, or in a professional setting where key details of a project are kept under wraps. The tactic preys on our natural desire to make sense of the world, leading to confusion and misguided actions. The Stoic philosopher Seneca advised against any judgment made without full understanding. He would counsel us to be patient, to question, and to seek out as much of the truth as possible before forming an opinion. This is not about becoming paralyzed by indecision. It is about acknowledging the gaps in our knowledge and proceeding with a measured, reasoned approach. Marcus Aurelius adds to this by reminding us of the value of pursuing truth for its own sake. When faced with concealed information, we are invited to use our own reason to question the empty spaces, to seek out the missing pieces. This pursuit is not just about making better decisions. It is about aligning ourselves with the Stoic ideal of living in harmony with truth. Number 10. Fear attachment. This is the use of scare tactics to control your actions. It works by attaching a frightening outcome to any choice other than compliance. It is a potent form of manipulation because it targets one of our most primal instincts, fear. It can appear in a relationship with the threat, if you leave, you'll never find anyone else, or at work with the implication, do this, or your career is over. It creates a world where fear, rather than reason, becomes the driver of your decisions. The Stoics teach us that fear, like any emotion, is not a reflection of reality. It is a perception, one that can be examined, understood, and mastered. Marcus Aurelius reminds us of the power of our rational mind to maintain its calm in the face of any external disturbance, including attempts to manipulate us with fear. The Stoic response is to step back and analyze the threat. Is it real, or is it an illusion designed to control? By engaging our reason, we disarm the fear. We realize that our internal state of peace and our freedom to choose are far more valuable than bowing to a threat designed to take them away. We reclaim our power, not by being fearless, but by choosing reason over fear. The Stoics advocate for a return to our inner citadel, that fortress of reason and virtue within each of us. Here, we can find the clarity and strength to stand firm in our convictions, unmoved by the clamor of the outside world or the hollow threats of others. It is from this bastion of self-possession that Seneca encourages us to confront our fears directly. For when we do, we often discover they are not the insurmountable giants we imagined. By facing the supposed consequences of our choices, we find the power these fears held over us begins to diminish, freeing us to act not from a place of fear, but from the core of our true values. Now let us turn to the manipulator's tactics. First, the blame game. This is a cornerstone of their arsenal, shifting responsibility away from themselves and casting you as the villain for their own mistakes. This tactic is profoundly damaging, for it not only burdens you with unearned stress and guilt, but can also poison your reputation and your relationships. It thrives in the fog of confusion and doubt, making it difficult to see the truth and defend yourself. Yet, when you are unjustly accused, Stoicism offers a compass. We may not control the accusations, but we have absolute control over our response. We are encouraged to meet them with reason and calm, to examine the facts, and to stand firm in our truth. Marcus Aurelius advises us to face false accusations with tranquility, allowing adversity to temper our character, not shatter it. He would guide us away from the reflexive sting of anger or the brittle wall of defensiveness, urging us instead to present our truth with quiet conviction, letting our deeds serve as the ultimate testament to our character. This Stoic composure is a sanctuary for our dignity. Seneca echoes this, counseling patience and understanding, for he knew that truth often takes time to emerge. In the meantime, he said, we must live in such a way that those who know us will never believe the slander, and those who do not will be won over by our unwavering virtue. Next, we encounter a more subtle weapon, false praise. This is flattery used not as sincere kindness, but as a gilded key, designed to lower your defenses and make you more susceptible to influence. It is a siren's song, playing on our natural desire for approval. It feels sweet on the surface, a welcome validation, but its underlying purpose is to sway your decisions for someone else's gain. It requires a discerning eye to distinguish genuine compliments from flattery with an agenda. Stoicism provides the antidote, a robust self-awareness. It teaches us to anchor our self-worth not in the shifting sands of external approval, but in the bedrock of our own virtue. As Marcus Aurelius would remind us, we must cultivate a noble indifference to the opinions of others, be they praise or censure, and focus instead on living a life guided by reason. When we receive praise, the Stoic approach is to appreciate it, but not to let it pull us from our path or cloud our judgment. For true worth, we understand, comes from our character, not from the words of others. Epictetus stresses the importance of discernment, of being able to distinguish what is truly good, like virtuous action, from what merely appears good, like empty praise. He would advise us to examine any compliment. Does it align with our own understanding of our actions? Or is it an attempt to manipulate us into acting against our better judgment? Consider also the tactic of victimization. This is a complex maneuver because it weaponizes one of our most noble instincts, the desire to help those in need. It places you in a difficult position where saying no can feel like an act of cruelty, even when your intuition warns you that the distress on display may not be what it seems. In these moments, Stoicism calls not for a hardening of the heart, but for the wisdom to see things as they truly are. It encourages us to look beyond the performance, to question the narrative presented, and to discern whether our help is genuinely needed or if we are being manipulated under the guise of victimhood. Marcus Aurelius urges us to act with both kindness and wisdom, to extend our empathy judiciously, ensuring our compassion is not exploited. We must sharpen our minds to see when our own virtues are being turned against us. Seneca, with his keen insight into human relationships, reminds us that true help is not always giving people what they want, but what they truly need. Sometimes, the most compassionate response is to encourage their own resilience, rather than acquiescing to demands that only entrench their victim narrative. The Stoic practice of reflection is invaluable here. By calmly reviewing our interactions, we can learn to recognize when our empathy is being taken advantage of. This allows us to set healthy boundaries, offering support that is truly helpful without becoming ensnared in another's manipulative dynamics. Finally, there is intentional silence, the chilling tactic of the cold shoulder. Imagine you are in conversation, and suddenly the other person goes quiet, refusing to acknowledge your words, your presence, your very existence. This is not an awkward pause. It is a deliberate act, a weaponized absence of communication. This silence is heavy, loaded with unspoken messages meant to make you feel invisible, unworthy, and anxious, pushing you into a corner where you question your own value. It is profoundly disconcerting because it attacks our fundamental need for connection. But here is an essential truth. Their silence says more about them than it does about you. How then does Stoicism help us face this void? It teaches us that our worth and our peace of mind come not from external validation, but from within. Marcus Aurelius would advise us to turn our focus inward, to find tranquility and self-assurance in our own judgment, rather than being swayed by the approval or disapproval of others. When faced with intentional silence, this principle encourages us to stand firm in our own integrity. Seneca offers the wisdom of patience and endurance. He teaches that sometimes the best response is simply to maintain our dignity, to continue living virtuously, and to let our actions speak for themselves. In doing so, we demonstrate that our self-esteem is not held hostage by another's willingness to communicate. Moreover, Stoicism encourages us to extend compassion, even to those who wield silence as a weapon. This does not mean we accept mistreatment. Rather, it means we recognize that such behavior often stems from their own struggles, and from this place of understanding, we can choose how to respond with empathy without ever compromising our self-respect. As we close this chapter of our Stoic journey, remember this. In the vast tapestry of human interaction, the threads of manipulation may weave their way around us. But it is the strength of our character, the clarity of our reason, and the steadfastness of our virtue that ultimately determine the pattern of our lives. The journey into this wisdom continues, and I invite you to delve deeper with us, cultivating a life of resilience and profound peace. Thank you for walking this path today, and for being an integral part of the Stoic Journal. Until we meet again.